So far, these netminders really good.
Yells up to center. And the Pens can't make anything happen here right now, but they go on the
Darn.
Penguins lose 3-1 to the Boston Bruins tonight. A very tough, another tight playoff game. Penguins come up on the losing end of this one. Shutout for the majority of the game. Tuukka Rask, man. He still got it, even though he might retire at the end of this year. And Jeff Carter gets the only goal for the Penguins. Unfortunate, the Penguins could have clinched tonight. That was only if the Rangers lost and the Penguins won. Neither of that happened, but it is what it is. The Penguins are obviously still in very good position and, in my opinion, still contenders. Let's go over the lines. Same exact lineup. Malkin and Tanev are your only injuries still. The only thing I actually changed was that Kapanen is on the second power play unit. That probably happened a couple days ago, but I just didn't update it. But yeah, same lines, and Jarry started in this one. Through two periods in this game, it was very similar to the Sunday matchup against the Bruins, where there was not a lot of scoring, little to no power plays, little to no whistles, and it's the way that Bruce Cassidy and the Bruins like to play, and they came up on top in this one. Brad Marchand was... He's doing what he's exactly, what he knows how to do. He gets under players' skins. He makes them draw penalties. Rodrigues retaliated on a play. I don't think that was Marchand, but, the Bruins end up getting those power play chances. The Bruins end up getting those chances, and they end up winning the game. And the Penguins really... My summary of this game is that they fell into the Bruins, trap. And that really just boils down to their first line of Bergeron, Pastrnak, and Marchand, which, won the battle against the Crosby, Rust, Guentzel line. The Crosby, Rust, Guentzel line was -3 today, and Sidney Crosby didn't have a shot. And, that's really the statistic that I would use to sum up this game. That line battled harder than the Penguins' top line. And it was, again, a coaching matchup and a special teams matchup. It was a playoff-like game, and the Penguins lost. David Krejci gets a goal in this one. He walks in on Mike Matheson. He gets the first goal of the game. It was a nice backhander. And then after Teddy Blueger tries to stir things up, which was, he got his ass whooped, but I audibly, went, yes, get in there, Teddy, because, that's exactly what the Penguins need. He's not a fighter, Blueger is, but that momentum, that spark, didn't work out, though, as Marchand got his 26th goal of the year. I hate Brad Marchand so much, but he's such a good player, man. It was a bad rebound by Jarry, in my opinion, and he capitalized on it. And then Penguins gave Taylor Hall too much room, and he scored his fourth as a Bruin, his sixth of the year, just overall. And really, that was the game. Jeff Carter got a goal on a nice shot. The Penguins pulled Jarry with the empty net, and they weren't able to capitalize. My 3 stars of the night are the Rat, Marchand, Tuukka Rask, who had an incredible game, and I threw Blueger in there because I like to fight. Only other notable things that I'll go over here completely, they're related to the game, but they're not really related to the game, like not the on-ice aspect. Mike Lange was back in this one on the radio broadcast. That was amazing to hear. It's very unfortunate, though, because you can't listen to the radio broadcast and watch the TV at the same time because it's not synced up. So the radio's faster. It's like a minute faster. So you'll kind of get it spoiled or whatever. But I love Mike Lange. Congratulations to Josh Getzoff. The reason that he's out was because he was having a child. I think, what was his name? Like Dustin or something. Congratulations to Josh and the Getzoff family. I love Josh Getzoff as a play-by-play commentator as well, but come on, Mike Lange. And the other thing that I kind of, is kind of related to the game, but not on the ice, I think it was in the second period. They announced that they're giving away 100 tickets to teachers. And I immediately called my mom and my cousin because they are both teachers. And apparently they're giving away 100 free tickets to teachers as like a teacher service thing. My mom's a grade school teacher, and so is my cousin. I'm like, you're signing up for this? I don't care. Like, you guys are going to sign up for this because, they are allowed to bring a friend. And maybe I'll go to the game, the 6th against the Sabres. That'll be great. Hopefully we'll win. Fingers crossed. And if you know any teachers, if any of you guys are teachers, I'll put the link in the description, but I don't know if I should because I want my best odds to go to that game against the Sabres. But that's a summary pretty much of the game. Overall, my thoughts, another playoff matchup against the Bruins. But as you probably have noticed by now, where the hell the logos go on the board? I kind of want to go over the NHL because one thing that I really have struggled with this year is the fact that the Penguins have only played teams in the East Division. And I had to watch 8 games against the Islanders and the Devils. Like, no offense to their teams, but, like, that's the style of play. You know, I would much rather watch an Avalanche Penguins game every now and then. I really miss it this year. Penguins Jets games were always so fun. Like a Vander Kane, Blake Wheeler versus Evgeni Malkin. Like sometimes, you guys remember the Vancouver game from last year where the Penguins were down like 6-0 and came back and won 8-6. Like, you know, and then there's Fleury in Vegas, Hornquist, you know, coming back Florida. I could go on a tangent, but like what I'm really trying to say here is that I have not been paying attention to the other, you know, teams in the league because they're not playing the Penguins. And I've mostly been focused on, you know, the Mass Mutual East Division. So I'm going to put the logos back up in order of points to kind of, you know, give a quick refresher course. I'm not going to go too super in depth on it. And we'll save the Mass Mutual East Division for last. My PFR question for the night is, what is your favorite, second favorite team? And, you know, some of you are Steve's fans. You know, just would be a Maple Leafs fan or, you know, Mason, King Angus. Obviously, you have your favorite teams. But what's your second favorite team? If your favorite team is the Penguins, and if your favorite team is not the Penguins, what is your favorite team? Because I like having a lot of, you know, diverse hockey teams fans because a lot of my friends are Penguins fans. We'll start in the no division because since the Canadian division had the North division only has 7 teams, I stick Seattle's logo there kind of to balance things out. In the in the North division, the Ottawa Senators are in last. Pretty self-explanatory there, the season that they're having there. The Vancouver Canucks only have 41 points. Ottawa has 1 less point than Vancouver. That's how bad of a season that they've had. I know Pettersson has been hurt. I know the goaltending hasn't been great, apparently. I know the defense has not been great as well. And, you know, their cap situation is going to be hectic this offseason because I'm pretty sure both Hughes and Pettersson are RFAs. So good luck with that, Vancouver. You're not going to make the playoffs this year, and you better get, you know, turn it around and stop signing Jay Beagle and Antoine Roussel. Just a little bit ahead of them, they have we have the Calgary Flames at 45 points. I've never saw the Calgary Flames as contenders in my entire lifespan watching hockey. I think the last time they were contenders, they were in the Stanley Cup final in, I think, 2004 or something like that. They've never really stood out to me as a team that was like, that's a contender. They've kind of just been mediocre. I don't think Gaudreau and Monahan are the best superstars in the league. Like, I don't think they're team-leading superstars. I think they're good, but I could not see, you know, Giordano. I could not see that core winning Stanley Cup. And they're not going to make the playoffs this year because Montreal is 6 points ahead of them at 51. Montreal's got a good team. They got a lot of good prospects. Cole Caulfield made his NHL debut last night. They also got like Ryan Poehling and you know, Alexander Romanov there. Carey Price, if he goes on a run in the playoffs, could be dangerous. They obviously eliminated the Penguins last year. This is a very underlooked team despite, you know, being the hockey capital of the world, arguably. They have a lot of underrated players like Philip Danault, like Thomas Tatar. Those are good players. They're not superstars, but, you know, they can beat you. And the season that Tyler Toffoli's having, I don't know. I would not want to play the Canadians in the playoffs. Winnipeg is up next with 57 points. They're currently third in the Canadian division. They obviously got rid of Patrick Laine, which I'm still upset about, even though I'm not a Jets fan. Scheifele just got benched, I believe, the other day in the third period. I'm not sure what that's about. And really just my thoughts on this division overall is that it is the weakest division. And I don't see a Stanley Cup contender out of any of these teams. Not even number 1, which, you know, sorry, Steve. In second is the Edmonton Oilers with 58 points. They obviously have McDavid and Draisaitl, but again, I don't see enough depth there. Depth scoring is what most people focus on. I'm focusing on goaltending, depth at goaltending and depth at defense. Like who's their best defenseman? like Darnell Nurse, okay. Like, they don't really have a blue, like a solid, Norris caliber blue liner, and Mike Smith is not a Stanley Cup winning goaltender, in my opinion. And in first in the Canadian division right now is the Toronto Maple Leafs. I mean, they're taking advantage of this, AHL division. Not really, though. I don't see a contender out of these teams. The Leafs, in my opinion, are probably the best team in the division. They got a very deep team. They're like guys like Hyman stepping up, even Spezza and Thornton having good seasons. Their goaltending needs to be worked out, though. I don't understand why they would not continue to ride Jack Campbell, but it is what it is. You guys probably know more about the Leafs than I do. But, the one thing that I'll stick to, in my opinion, on the Leafs is that they're not going to make it past the first round. Moving over to the Central Division, and going into this year, the Central Division was on paper the worst division, and now it's arguably one of the best divisions because we have not had a team, the X's here are teams that have clinched. We don't have a team in either of these divisions that have clinched, and we have 3 in the Central and 3 in the Pacific that have clinched. Something that surprised me, but not, to the extent that it actually is the Columbus Blue Jackets' failures this year. They are currently last in the Central Division. Detroit has 43 points. Columbus has 42. They're not going to make the playoffs, and neither is Detroit. They kind of fell off. Never saw them as a contender. They obviously were a team that could upset teams, what they did to Tampa, only time they won a playoff series in their entire franchise history. In terms of franchises, this is a completely different video, but in terms of franchises, I think the Minnesota Wild and the Columbus Blue Jackets are the weakest NHL franchises of all time because they don't have anything to, brag about. And it's going to continue with Columbus this year at least. Detroit, we all expected them to be here. They're sellers, and it is what it is. They won that Mantha trade. Chicago was an interesting case. I did a whole video comparing the Chicago Blackhawks, a couple years after the Stanley Cup to the Penguins a couple years after the Stanley Cup. And they could sneak into the playoffs. They're at 49 points right now. Dallas is at 54. Nashville's at 56. They got a little bit of fighting to do there. I don't think they'll make it, though. They're kind of in the Rangers spot, if this were the East Division to the Central. They obviously have a lot of good young players there, and Patrick Kane is still able to produce. They could make the playoffs in these next couple. The team that has battled with COVID probably the most outside of the Canucks has been the Dallas Stars. Also adversity with what happened in Texas with the floods and all that stuff. Dallas has had a rough season, not only because of that stuff, they've also been hurt a lot, and they've really fell back considering last year that they were in the Stanley Cup final. They may miss the playoffs. They're at 54 points right now. Nashville's at 56, really just battling it out for the last spot in the division because we have these 3 teams that have clinched. And I don't know. I don't see Dallas as a contender, but yet again, I didn't see them as a contender last year, and look what they did. Nashville went from trying to sell off their entire franchise to where they are now, 3rd in the division. I think this is a very top-heavy division, though. And I think Nashville will get that 4th seed and probably be bounced in the first round, though. In 3rd place in this division is the Tampa Bay Lightning. They are not in first in this division. They have clinched, though, and really doesn't really matter what position they're going to be in going into the playoffs. I mean, they'll wake up when the playoffs turn around. With Kucherov maybe coming back, that's a video that I'll maybe do about how that's illegal, and that kind of gripes me, but defending Stanley Cup champions, they still have a lot of their core together. They could easily go back-to-back, but hopefully not, because that's the Penguins thing. In 2nd, we have a very big surprise this year, the Florida Panthers. Are you guys on board with the Florida Panthers this year? Because I want to be, but they have disappointed me in years past. Not that I'm a Panthers fan, but I like them because who cares about Florida? Not many people. And Patrick Hornquist is there now. Maybe they could go on a little bit of a run. Last time they won a series was in the 90s. And, or maybe they even haven't. No, they went to the Stanley Cup final that one year in the 90s or whatever. It's interesting. I'm very interested in the Florida Panthers. They could go to the Stanley Cup final, or they could be bounced in the first round. I really don't know what Florida has in store. And in first place in this division, the Central Division, is the Carolina Hurricanes. They're at 69 points, which is very nice. I think they're a contender. I thought they were a contender last year. And their freaking streak of every time they've entered the playoffs, they either made it to the Eastern Conference Final or the Stanley Cup Final. That ended last season. Maybe they'll get back to that streak again here and start a new crazy record. They're very, if they make the playoffs, they tend to be very successful. They have a good young team. Their defense is insane. And they got some goaltending depth with Nedeljkovic. I think that's how you say his name coming up. But again, I don't have much to elaborate on this team because I have not seen them play the Penguins. We'll go over these three teams real fast because not only is this a division that the Penguins, have the littlest impact with or, connection with outside of the Jeff Carter trade. The Penguins will not be seeing any of these teams this year because they're going to be eliminated soon. That being all the California teams, the Ducks, the Kings, and the Sharks. We kind of expected that out of all of them. And, the Sharks may be able to sneak in the playoffs these next couple of years, but probably not. The Ducks have a lot of good prospects, and so do the Kings, but And up next is the Arizona Coyotes and the St. Louis Blues, who Arizona has 47, St. Louis has 48. Obviously did not expect St. Louis to fall off. I wouldn't say fall off, but struggle this much this season. That's right around where I would assume Arizona would be, kind of on the playoff bubble there. I'm not sure who's going to make the division because, watching Mason's BFRs, that's not what he calls them, his Blues notes or whatever, the Blues have kind of sucked this year. And do they really deserve to make the playoffs? Does a team like Arizona deserve it more? But if I were to pick those two teams, like who is more worthy just on paper to, win a playoff series, it would be St. Louis. And advancing on to the teams that the only chance that the Penguins would have in playing them would be in the Stanley Cup Final. We have Minnesota, Vegas, and Colorado. Colorado at 66 points, Vegas at 70, Minnesota at 65. They have all clinched in the division. I'm not going to go over them in depth because, one, I don't stay up past 10 p.m. to watch their games. And two, as I mentioned, the only time the Penguins can see them this year is if they meet in the Stanley Cup Final. Vegas, Colorado, Stanley Cup favorites, utterly dominant. Minnesota having a very surprising year, I would say. I've always bashed on the Wild. I still think they're an irrelevant franchise. The only trophy they're going to win this year is maybe the Calder with Kaprizov, so whatever. Sue me, Wild fans. And last but not least, let's move over to the Mass Mutual East Division, which I've talked about extensively, so I'll go over this really fast as well. Obviously, the Sabres, the Devils, they've been pretty much eliminated. I think they have officially been mathematically eliminated from the playoffs right now. And Philly is going to be up next. Love that Philly's not going to make the playoffs. There was expectations that Carter Hart was going to win the Vezina and Giroux was going to rebound and have a great year, and they were going to go all the way to the Stanley Cup Final. And look where they're at right now. The Rangers have more points than them with 58. They could sneak in. They're 4 points behind Boston. I would not want to play the Rangers or in the first round. And kind of, what I saw tonight, Boston has 62 points, is that it confirmed the fact that I don't want to play Boston. There was a kind of a little bit of, they're on the downfall. They only have one line that really does their scoring. The Penguins could beat them after tonight's game. No, I don't want to play the Bruins at all, especially with the way Rask still can perform. And, if they can shut down the Crosby line and get their top line going, Penguins are doomed. Hopefully it won't happen. So I would much rather play either the New York Islanders, or there's the Penguins at 67, or the Washington Capitals. Again, I would love the Penguins to play the Capitals in the first round, but it's looking like either the Penguins or the Capitals will be the first seed, so the other team will be the second seed, so they won't meet until hopefully the second round. Knock on wood. Again, Islanders Penguins series in the regular season was Penguins won at 6-2-0, and then we got 2 games up against the Capitals, and that'll be a good segue because that's it. Those are the current standings in the NHL. I'm not going to update the board, so if you see like a PFR and like they're still in the same position, those aren't going to be the standings. Go check them yourself, NHL.com. But again, Penguins lose this one, 3-1 to the Boston Bruins. Hopefully a team we won't have to see in a couple of weeks. And 6 games left, I believe. 2 against Washington, 2 against Philly, 2 against Buffalo. Hopefully I'll be going to that Buffalo one on that t-shirt game or whatever it is. Thank you all for watching. I know I rambled a little bit about the entire league here, but it's good to update yourself on what other teams are doing, not just in your division. Thank you all for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next PFR. Falcon and the Winter Soldier review is out if you want to check that out. 200 subscribers by the end of this week would be great. End of the semester present for me as a junior heading into my senior year. Crazy. Sorry, I'm rambling. See you guys next video.